I think, to me, this is a Shakahora budget. We are all candidates for Shakahora. At this late, none of us can be able to add a kilo to our weights, because the cost of living is certainly going to be totally beyond the reach of all Kenyans. And I wanted to say, when we talked about the 4-5 issues as Azimio, the cost of living, this bill deals with the cost of living. So when we were saying that before any talks take place, we needed to address the cost of living, you can see where the vision that our leader had. When you talk about the need to protect multi-party democracy, to ensure that parties within Azimio are not swallowed or collapsed, is because if they are collapsed, then there will not be this voice on behalf of Kenyans. The voice of the voiceless will have been taken away, and they are still at it. And I think it is important that they are told they will not succeed, because in succeeding, they will have killed the voice that speaks on behalf of Kenyans. You now can see them clearly trying to legalize corruption. When you say that you'll be taking to Parliament the minister to go and justify why he breached the law, and you provide that in an act of Parliament, it's a regime that is not keen on fighting corruption at all. In the whole of the presentations that we have had, I didn't hear any attempt to seal the loopholes. And if we sealed the loopholes, I'm sure there will be a lot of money that can come back and be available to Kenyans for the things that they have been complaining about. Our party leader, Azimio party leader, has again read us in talking about the need to look at the IBC. The whole process of arriving at leaders. The leaders we have in Parliament and those who went through the window into State House and other places are now producing this. So if our process of electing people is not checked, it will continue producing people who do not care about the welfare of Kenyans. And that is clear from the kind of bill that has been led to us and the one we have been going through. We've been talked about Vision 2030. No, and let me also say, when you have in Parliament, Mheshimiwa Wadai, unfortunately, when you have in Parliament 90% or 80% of fellas there, and especially from some regions, were all leagued in, they have no business leading these bills. They will just continue leaguing your lives out of anything useful. And that's what they are doing. Vision 2030, a country, a people without vision. That's what the Bible says. People perish if we move away from this vision. And they have not mentioned the issue of Vision 2030 or even 2063 anywhere. So we are just people galloping in the dark. Haki ya Mungu, tuko kwa shida hapa. And again, as His Excellency has said, the universal health care through the window, it just evaporated. A short while ago, you'd use your people back in the countryside who are happy with NHIF cards. Today, you produce it and you are chased out of the hospital. My brother is a doctor and he was told, don't retain anybody in hospital, even after any, whatever kind of operation, beyond 4 days. If you retain them beyond 4 days, wewe mwenyewe utalipa. So it's a question of whether you want to undertake these operations is crazy. But there is one more thing that I think we need to focus on. And this is what I would help us and the Senate. Our Kinara has said it many times, but maybe it has not been, the media has not picked it. The amount of money that is spent by Parliament moving from one country to the other, it's a lot of money. The speakers, for example, and especially in the Senate, they actually exchange suitcases at the airport. He has so many places to go, he has no time, to cover all the trips that have been earmarked for him in a year. If we cannot focus on this also, I think it's something, 41 billion shillings to Parliament compared to the judiciary at 20-something, 22 or something like that, and the housing at 29. There are areas where these characters can focus on and still achieve some of the things they think need to be achieved. Of course, not housing, without taxing the Kenyans. Taxing the merry-go-round, Mama Boga na wale mem. I don't know whether you understand. Mount Kenya is full of those merry-go-rounds. And merry-go-round, chamas, all those, table banking. So you introduce table banking so that you can get a mrija kukunywa maziwa ya kina mama jikoni. So this is really taxing people while they are sitting at the fireplace. It's really not something that we need to sit loud and wait. But Baba, as I was coming from Nyandarua the other day, I bought some fruits. And a lady who was selling fruits to me said, "We nimekuona kwa Azimio. This pineapple, I am buying it for you, for Baba. Take it to Baba and tell Baba, you are our only hope. Ukirudi nyuma, wa Kenya watapata shida." Kwa hivyo, Kenyans are looking at what you are doing and the leadership that you are giving to us. Na jana usiku nikawaambiwa, wanagojea tu kuambiwa twende. Pali utasema watu waende, hapo ndio watu wataenda. Wame give up kwa hii watu ambao wako hapa. Asante sana. Thank you so much.
Before I invite the last two speakers, let me introduce some of us who are in the room. We have the Honorable Peter Orero, who is our host MP, the MP for Kibra. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Orero. We have Mr. Yagwik Ramji, the Deputy Party Leader of Roots Party, Makofi Kwake. We have Ambassador Elkana Odembo. I'm sure you all know him. Karibu sana Balozi. We have Sheikh Juma Ngao and his colleague. Very good, Mashe. Thank you very much. Of course, we have in the house our technical team. They have been joined now by Professor Adam Solo, Durong Wen, and the rest of the team. Let me invite Honorable Wajakwe to make yes. I'll be inviting, of course, Honorable Paranya to come in later. He's the chairman of the Azimio National Executive Committee. Thank you.
Baba Raila Molod. To our members of Parliament, after which, depending on how the Ruto administration behaves, this matter may take a very different turn. Celebrated African writer Chinua Achebe said, and I quote, "A disease that has never been seen before cannot be cured with everyday herbs." In the history of budget making in Kenya, no regime has imposed so many and so high taxes on our people in return for nothing except fantasies and fairy tales. This bill is a disease that cannot be cured with everyday herbs. This bill is economic sabotage. If Ruto insists on this bill, this country will go into full recession. This bill requires and must get fierce resistance. No sane leader withdraws subsidies on basic goods, then increases taxes on the same goods and salaries of working people, including hawkers. You withdraw subsidies, and then you now add taxes to add insult to injury. I will highlight areas of significant concern to us. Then let the Azimio Economic Council take the country through the details. Ruto wants to levy taxes on chama or merry-go-rounds. Merry-go-rounds are the bankers and lenders of last resort for our mothers and youth, particularly in rural areas and slums. Without offering any services to the chairmas, women groups and trade associations, Ruto has decided they must be pay taxes. This strikes at the heart of women's economy. It kills savings and spreads poverty among an already vulnerable group. At a time, the National Hospital Insurance Fund and the National Social Security Fund are failing. Ruto is telling Kenyans to forego 3% of their salaries and deposit it into some fantasy called housing levy. Nobody knows where it is housed. The government cannot agree whether it is a tax or an investment. Nobody knows how government became an investment advisor to Kenyans. They ignore concerns by employers and employees that many pay that many pay slips are already overwhelmed by deductions, loans, and lack of pay rise. They ignore concerns that this tax will increase business operating costs and force farms to relocate. Already some farms are relocating merely because of the high cost of energy in this country. It is cheaper to manufacture in Egypt and export back to Kenya. Look at the arrogance with which they want to raise